call the meeting to order. 5:37-ish, 5:38, something like that.
Yes, Stephen.
Any adjustments to the agenda?
I do have a couple.
Okay.
So, I had a request from Sandglass here to look over,
Yep.
he had talked to you, right?
But it's
So-
email, yeah.
And we can talk about that, but I wanna add that, I didn't think that was a very controversial topic
Yeah.
to add to the agenda, to see
Yeah.
if you guys were okay with me signing a letter of support for
Yeah.
something you're trying to do. The Newman Hall, Old Depot, Putney Landing project, they need a 911 address, but we need to name the road down there, so that was another one I wanted to add. Tom
Okay.
brought me in the letter today to request a new road name.
And did they have a suggestion?
They do,
Yep.
and it's
Okay.
part of the, yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, they checked with the Affordable Housing Committee.
And
Right.
then,
Go ahead,
did they
sorry.
really?
Yeah, I recommended several things. We have two governors from Putney.
They didn't
to be
pick those
governors.
two.
The only town in the state of Vermont with two governors.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it only two?
And then
Well, two from the same little area.
Yeah, no,
One of them's not
Trying to
from
think.
Putney, anyway.
Dean Davis.
He was on the select
Yeah.
board.
wow, we are really sidetracked.
Oh, yeah,
already.
sorry.
Tried to do my best.
Yeah.
Wow, we were way out of order.
Yeah. Boy.
And then I got sidewalk borrowing rates back, and I just wanted to tell you which one
Okay.
we would be talking about at the next meeting to sign the paperwork. So those were the three things that I wanted to add.
Okay. All right, minutes of January 25th. So moved.
All right, so I'll second that then.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of January 25th as presented. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimous. Okay, new business. Resolution of Putney Town Meeting.
This is.
Oh, that's, okay, you guys, you,
You're wrong.
yes.
You're on.
I think you all have a
They
copy.
should.
Yeah, I've read it, yeah.
Eva and Nancy Olson and I would like to present this to town meeting under the last article, anything else that may legally come before the
Yep.
meeting,
Yep.
as a non-binding resolution. And we're coming to you now because sometimes items that come in that last item of the warning come up kind of spontaneously or shortly before the meeting. And we want to let you know and then let the voters of Putney know that this is coming, so that it's clear that it's not something last minute and spontaneous, but that we've thought about since now.
Mm-hmm. Good, I read through it and I think it all seems,
We should probably.
read it.
Well, I just know, I don't
Maybe,
think other people
yes.
here know what we're.
Yeah.
So this is a resolution that we will ask the voters of Putney to approve at the end of town meeting. Whereas the town of Putney, Vermont is proud to be a town that values diversity. And whereas nearly 60 million people worldwide are displaced by violence, political strife, or natural disaster, and forced to become formal refugees. And whereas millions of additional people worldwide are driven to seek out immigration opportunities for better lives and opportunities for their well-being. And whereas immigration has been a cornerstone of our towns, regions, states, and nations' development throughout our history. And whereas Putney, Vermont has a long and proud tradition of being a community that welcomes immigrants and refugees as new Americans and valued members of our community. Now therefore be it resolved that Putney joins our congressional delegation, Senator Leahy, Senator Sanders, and Representative Welch, and Governor Scott, in declaring our intention to welcome and protect the rights of immigrants and refugees who seek to come to our state and our community.
Yes.
And because it wasn't warned in advance, you might have already said this, it would be a non-binding resolution.
It is non-binding.
But it's a statement.
Yeah, we didn't get it
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
warning.
Yeah, it has no legal, it will have no legal standing.
Yes,
It'll be a community declaration.
yeah. Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know if other towns in Newman County also are putting a similar resolution or
They will after
worded
this.
or worded with this
Well,
this way? Are you trying
towns
to
have.
expand that?
I think mayors have, I believe
Yes,
city
something
councils.
similar. I was just
Yeah,
wondering
similar. But
if
we
it-
have a
if
select
you
board
were-
rather than a mayor. Do you know the
And some towns across Vermont are declaring themselves sanctuary cities. Montpelier is, for example. I don't know about Burlington.
Yeah.
But, and that's, you know, that's
That's
a
another
legal situation. One of the reasons that we wanted to come before you now is that we will start publicizing
Publicize
this
it.
and giving other towns a chance if they want to make a similar declaration.
Just curious.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You can stay, you know, you don't have to.
That's right.
We have
She
to
turns
start
she turns
publicizing.
into a pumpkin.
It's public now, so
Oh,
Well, they recommended for the road. I want to see if it's one.
Oh, no, it's Newman Road, or Newman Way, or Newman
Okay.
Lane.
All right.
She wanted
We have some
Eva's
really
Road.
Two governors
Yeah.
that we've had here. Oh, well. I'm not stand to fight.
It can always be changed. We can overturn it.
It's
Well.
just a recommendation.
All the way to the
Not once
courts.
you vote on it tonight. It's gonna be the name of
It
a
can
road.
be changed.
Yeah, eventually,
Change
yeah,
it.
sure.
You can petition to change it.
Sure, anything can be.
Okay, so,
Same here.
moving right along. Annual financial plan, TA 60 and highway mileage certificate.
So the TA 60 actually doesn't get done until after town meeting. That was my mistake to put it on this early.
Okay,
But the annual highway mileage certificate is the standard mileage certificate where we have to certify the number of class 1, class 2, class 3 miles. And nothing has been added or subtracted this year, so I just need a motion to approve the certificate of highway mileage, and you guys need to sign it.
So moved.
second. So we need to, do you have the one we want to sign? It's been moved and seconded to approve the certificate of highway mileage for the year ending February 10th, 2017.
And then I need your signatures there.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Again, unanimous. Things are going smoothly. All right. Signature there. And, okay, certificate of compliance, town road and bridge standards.
There's a copy of the certificate of compliance in there. We have not changed anything in our town road and bridge standards since 2013. So this is a form we have to return every year saying that we certify that our standards meet the state requirement, and that we have an up-to-date highway network inventory, including the conditions of our culverts, roads, and bridges. And this I sign, so
So I would entertain a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory, and to designate Cynthia as the signator.
Signature. So moved.
Second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. So you don't need us to do that.
is that certificate of highway mileage signed?
We get.
Yes.
That's right.
You want it? Okay. Review certificate of public good application notice.
So the only thing that I copied was the one-page letter from Downs, Racklin, and Martin. And this is a petition for de minimis modifications and a request for a certificate of public good for the SBA towers. The one that's in Putney is located on Holland Hill. And they're asking for the Public Service Board to approve a proposal to add a 7.5 kilowatt backup power generator and a propane storage tank. So I wanted to just bring it before you guys to see if you had any questions that you wanted me to relay to the Public Service Board regarding, they're not installing a new tower or anything, it's putting the generator in the
presumably abutters have been notified appropriately, et
Yeah,
cetera.
I'd have to look at the abutter list, but I don't
Not
know.
many- Putney,
Is
I think
there
it's Putney
a
Mountain,
butter?
no, it's Putney Mountain Association now, I think, owns that parcel that's Dave's, isn't it?
The-
Or was Dave's?
Yes.
And Betsy,
Betsy's land surrounds the 1 acre that the
Yeah.
tower sits
I think
on.
that might be.
That's right.
But they will have been I mean, they would have had to have met requirements for
Yeah, a
notification anyway,
notification.
so-
I'm just looking to see
Yeah.
who are all notified.
And we're not taking any action on this.
No,
unless
unless
we wanna
we
make a
have, if
statement.
there's some questions or a statement we wanna make about, I mean, I didn't have any questions for them, but,
You know, I mean, if it's not been contentious with the abutters, then
yeah.
the question of sound would be the only question I would have, but it doesn't affect anybody other than the one house that's quite near to it, I would think, but that would be up to the abutter to bring that up if they were concerned about it.
Yeah.
So, all right, no, I don't have anything to add. You? Okay, review summary of recycling options for town meeting.
I was going to put a handout together to give to town, so for us to review for town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I have talked to Bob Spencer at Wyndham Solid Waste and to Dan Toomey, our representative. And they are holding a meeting, supposed to be tomorrow night, but with the weather, I'm not sure they're going to hold it. There is some discussion of them possibly working with some towns that still want to keep it.
Okay.
So I asked Dan if he would look over the handout that I was making, and he said, "Why don't you hold off until we have this meeting, because there might be another option to add to it." So that one, the meeting's tomorrow night. Dan's supposed to meet me on Friday. If they don't hold the meeting, it won't be until next week.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's no, as long as we review this before town.
Yeah,
meeting,
that's what I told him.
There's no time.
No, there's no
With
time frame. It's
constraints
just
anyway.
we have a few handouts to do at town meeting, and I was trying to kind of knock some off the list to get us.
Yeah,
And that was the first one I picked for this week, and that one didn't quite work out.
okay, so we'll review that afterwards. Okay, review of 2017 appointments.
So I gave you a list of all of the committees and boards that we have. This is going to be a list that we do for reappointment after town meeting. The normal course of events is that we review this. We send a letter out to the people that are currently appointed and are up for reappointment, asking them if they want to continue serving on the board. I guess the questions that I have about it are, and then the second page are the vacancies. Down at the bottom of the first page, it talks about the fence viewers, weigher of coal, survey of wood and lumber, pound keeper, and town service officer. Those are appointments that we are not required to.
Right.
So I don't know if it's time for us to eliminate those.
We've talked about that very casually, but
I mean, honestly, I took some time today to even review what they do. They don't have a lot of power in anything, but
no.
the town service officer, that one really has been taken over by
Health officer.
yeah, well, the Department of what is that department, Laura? It's a state,
DCF,
yeah,
Children and
DCF,
Family.
yeah. So that's going to be a question. I don't know if we want to.
What's
well,
the,
we should
do you
probably
know,
decide now.
do you know what the process is for giving these up? Is it just?
It's by
It's just
statute.
not required.
It's
You
not
just don't have
required.
to. Says you.
Not
the statute
required to
says
appoint.
You may appoint them, but you're not required to.
Right, but even if we don't appoint them, they remain on our list of openings, basically. So you're suggesting we sort of remove them so
Yeah, I
that
think
we
I
don't
don't
even
we,
have them?
We don't even have them.
Yeah.
So we might wanna just explore whether there's a statutory obligation to
Yeah, there,
post that or something.
I can. What I read today was there isn't, but I will double check. I mean, I guess my question would be, some of these like fence viewer, they're not up in, that's March 2018. What does that mean? We're 1 year to March?
That's what it
Oh,
would be
so,
if they were.
so
really-
If
there,
they
it's
were
a 1 year
appointed now,
appointment. Okay,
right.
I got it. So, I think we just don't appoint and that kind of goes away, but I will double check that.
We should just make
So-
sure, cause if we need to do anything to
So
give them up.
if we don't, or even if we do, is that, I just don't wanna send a letter out to like the person that's the town service officer, asking if they wanna be reappointed, if we don't have any intention of reappointing them. If we can just eliminate that appointment.
I don't think we need to do any appointments to it, and then why don't we find out what the obligation is
Okay.
to remove it essentially
Okay.
from our list of town
Right,
officers.
Okay.
Their terms would just lapse. so-
Exactly,
right,
and then there's no, it's a vacant
Yeah,
position.
I mean, normally we
but-
just send a letter out to everybody, but we'll leave those off the list of sending out letters too.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then I'll make
Okay.
sure there isn't some legal posting we have to do saying that we're doing that.
All right.
But other than that, does anybody have any?
I'm gonna miss that fence view.
Oh, it was great to say.
It's been
Oh,
good.
the only other one I had a question about is the community advisory board rep, that's Brad. I'm not even sure what that is.
I can't remember. Do you remember?
It's related to state police somehow.
Oh, he was the rep to the state police, do they
Oh,
have a
that's-
community
that's
advisory
right.
board?
That's what it said on the paperwork.
Maybe the way to present this is as, just make a list of the offices that we're interested in eliminating with a description, whatever the current statute is regulating or
Saying that we
designating
can-
what their function is. And that helps with,
But that
this
one
covers
doesn't,
us.
that doesn't probably
No.
fall under that. Why
No,
don't you,
that's
why don't you
something
find out what that
different.
is?
I'll
Why
have
don't
to-
you
so
go,
you said
you
state
could go ahead and
police.
send Brad a letter, assuming that
Well, I'll call and ask
board-
him if he's done anything in
I
the
was
last
gonna
15
say,
years.
assuming that board is still functioning,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, so those are some that we're not, we'll do a little more research, so the list may be a little shorter when we, I guess the only other one, affordable housing, public safety, rec, White Whitney, Wilson, I guess the one we don't have on here is the tax exempt committee.
Oh. Carl Noe asked about
Yeah, I
that.
know, he told me, yeah.
Okay, we should
We gotta either
Figure
tell
out.
them that they're still on it, or we
Yeah.
need to dismantle it or
decide
something, yeah.
what it is, yeah,
Okay.
all right. Is that everything you need for that?
I think so.
Okay, so, in the interest of keeping people moving, maybe we'll go to Sandglass?
Yes.
Okay, so, welcome, Sandglass. So, Eric, as I said in your email, obviously I couldn't say yes or no, but typically we're happy to endorse these kinds of applications. So, you have a letter here that you're sending to,
Well,
why don't you give us a brief description of what exactly this is?
Okay. Sandglass is in transition right now and needs to both grow and change leadership, and is embarking on a strategic plan in order to do that. So the United States Department of Agriculture, as it happens, has federal funds for community business development. And among the, it's the biggest grant application we've ever read. I think it's 50 pages. So, we've written our part. But what would strengthen the grant would be evidence that we are complying or aiding a town plan in some way. So Shoshi read the town plan in detail and found that
I
indeed
gathered
you
there
have.
were A couple omissions and a couple
Right.
mistakes.
Indeed, you have a line in the plan that
Yes.
does talk about the benefits of the town from community, local cultural institutions.
Mhm.
So, at your suggestion, I called Cynthia. Cynthia said, why don't you write a letter that you would sign? So I proposed this as content that you could either just use or change or adapt or whatever, but this is the kind of argument that I think would be supportive of us, but it does not have to be in my words, it can be in yours. So there it is, but you can see what it says. It basically enumerates the ways, or some of the ways that we perceive ourselves as helping to develop a cultural identity and serve other community organizations.
And this is not the same grant that Next Stage applied for, is that correct? I mean, it's a different.
I don't
I
think, the
don't
one that
think
they
that
just came
was
to
that
us,
a
no,
USDA? I don't think
so.
it was, no. I just wanted to make sure we weren't redundant on that, not that we couldn't be, but if we were.
I don't think so.
And Susan is the person you're working with up at USDA, presumably? Is that
Exactly.
right? Okay.
By the way, this is Shoshana for any of you who don't know her.
Hi, Josh,
Scott.
Cynthia, Laura, Ian. Should I just read through this?
I would say there isn't
On
any
record?
involvement,
There's
as
no,
far as the funding flowing through, it just all flows through Sandglass, it's not something.
It goes directly to Sandglass.
Okay,
so there would be no administrative work for the town of Putney?
None
Is
at
that
all.
correct? Yeah.
Not at all.
So the letter reads, Dear Susan, the Putney Select Board supports Sandglass Theater's application to the USDA to develop its organizational and administrative capacity. It is in keeping with the town plan that Putney's cultural life be supported and that we recognize cultural organizations that have supported the quality of life in Putney. Sandglass has worked with Putney Central School and with Landmark College, arranging workshops and speakers through the theater's Visiting Artist program. These workshops have addressed themes of diversity, identity, land stewardship, and the integration of humanities in our cultural life. Visiting artists and students in Sandglass's training programs, festivals, and community events have brought significant business to our local stores and been housed at the Putney Inn. Sandglass has partnered on events with our Putney Co-op and talked about Putney on TV in Boston and national conferences. Sandglass Artistic Director Eric Bass is also one of the founders of Next Stage Arts Project, and in doing so has helped to develop a kind of theater row in our town. There have been some nights when both Sandglass and Next Stage had full events simultaneously and the town was jumping with cultural life. We hope that you will support Sandglass's plan to further develop its capacity and serve our town even more in the years to come. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so,
I don't,
so what do we?
I don't think you
do?
really
This is really
need,
good.
I just need a yes, okay, it's okay for you to submit this letter, doesn't need to be voted on, it's
Resolution.
just more, yeah.
I think we're
More
both
of
in
yours.
agreement on that.
I'm sure
Sounds good.
Stephen would be.
And thank you all for your work on behalf of Sandglass and the town.
You're welcome and thank you.
So I can do this tomorrow and have it signed, do you wanna email it or do you wanna pick it up?
Oh, well, I'll just swing by.
Okay.
Oh, on letterhead?
Yep.
Yeah, great, thank you. What time should we come by?
10,
A little later's okay too.
okay, 10:30. I'll be here at 9. Yeah,
It'll be ready for you by 10.
yeah.
So whenever you want to come
Thank
in,
you
right?
very much.
Thank you. All right. We do not have Ms. Goldman on our,
We don't, yeah, let's not forget the sidewalk and the
Yeah.
road, but that's
we'll
okay. We can
come
do
back to
Yeah,
that.
That's fine.
So that's sort of an adjustment to the agenda, but we don't, is there something specific you're here for this evening, I'm
absolutely.
assuming? Okay. What would you're on.
Alright, can I slide forward a bit, cause I have a number of pictures to give you,
Mhm.
and I can't keep getting upside down, 'cause I can't all of it.
You don't need to say if you don't want to. You're welcome to if you want to.
I am very curious.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were open to the public.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. And
Every other
and
Wednesday.
reruns on BCTV. Very exciting. Good for late night sleep situations.
So, you've heard from me in the past
Yes.
emails. I'm here today to appeal to you, the governing board of Putney, representing every disgusted taxpayer who has called the town garage for years, for the last 4 years, and left a message about a problem, asking to be called back, never to be called back.
Which I have to say, we don't get very many complaints, do we?
For every taxpayer like myself who has brought washouts to Brian's attention only to be ignored, this job requires public relations, interaction with the taxpayers. He works for the taxpayers. He was hired because of nepotism, because his father worked for the town, not because he had any
I would beg to
experience
differ with that.
beyond running equipment.
I don't,
Listen,
I don't need this to be a public forum in which you're gonna just berate an employee of ours. If you have a
Right.
specific complaint, I'm actually not sure what the legal aspects or legal obligation on our part to have you come and voice a complaint like this. I don't know. What's your sense of
Why
that?
isn't it reasonable?
Well, you're sort of, I guess I would say that it's, I don't know, defamation
I
of
want-
character.
No, it's not. I
Well,
want
I-
to show you.
If you want to make specific statements about something that's been problematic without bringing personal vendetta into it, then that's okay with me.
It's not
But-
vendetta. There has been virtually no general maintenance done for the first mile and a half of the dirt part of River Road in 4 years. That is a culvert that is buried in leaves. That chunk of log has been there for almost a year. There has never been one single time that the ditches and the culverts have been cleaned out completely in 4 years. That's a washout beyond Applin Way that used to get filled every year. That is very steep and very dangerous, and if someone pulls up there, they're going over. I went out the 17th of January, the day before the select board meeting that didn't happen. And as you know, I walk 2 days before I'd gone out. And this is the 6th of January. These are new chunks that fell beyond Applin Way. They're still lying there next to the road. This is a small tree that fell down since the walk I had prior to that
But it's, I'd like to point out
not
that
picked up
they're not in the roadway. They're on the edge
close
of the roadway.
enough to the roadway.
Close enough for, I mean,
There has been no ditch work, none. Right now, if we were to get a foot of rain, we're gonna lose big parts of River Road out there. I took this picture November 28th. This stuff has been here for 4 years, except there's also new stuff. I took this picture the 6th of January of the same place to show you there's no drainage going on here. And this summer actually was pretty amusing. I don't know, it must have been like right about in here. Somebody put this tiny little cutout, which I couldn't really figure out because you got all that buried there. This is where the drainage used to be over here. This is why all the edge of the road is soaking wet because there's no drainage anymore. This is a culvert here. None of that's cleaned out. Do you see a culvert there? This tree fell almost 2 years ago. A friend and I were walking and we moved it out of the road. It's been sitting over that culvert for almost 2 years. This is the grate. That's the exit to the town culvert that goes under the railroad tracks. This was after they cleaned it. Does that look clean? Does that look anything remotely like something cleaned out? There's not, and it's worse now. This is all leaves. None of it's been cleaned out.
Okay, I mean, I
This,
don't know whether.
this has been lying there for, 8 months.
Are all your pictures of the same nature? If you wanna, I mean, I see what you're saying, so.
This is where the drainage used to be. There is no drainage. None of this has been dug out in years.
So.
I don't know whether there's some rationale behind altering, the way we maybe were treating it previously, or whether this is a change from what we were doing previously. This is not a piece of road that I travel on regularly, so
Unfortunately,
I
I
don't know.
walk it twice a week.
Okay.
So I up close and personal. It's way different than driving by 30 miles an hour.
Well, what I
This
know
is-
about the road, and I just want to address a couple things. I want to make sure that people understand that, and I can't say I don't go over and listen to the town garage messages, but I don't get complaints that people are not getting called back.
Because people are frustrated and they throw their hands up and
Okay,
they give up.
can I just?
Well, that's hearsay.
I take a little bit of offense to the fact that you said that Brian was hired because of nepotism.
I agree.
That is something that is not true. And you can believe it if you want to, but I was here during the hiring process.
As were the two of us.
We had other applications, we went through a process. As you know, you and I have had discussions about this, and every time you call me, I go out and check what it is that your complaint is about. Every time I've taken pictures of culverts that you have said are plugged up, that water was running through.
There's a difference between
so
a culvert that
I've been,
is open versus 2/3 plugged up with
Right, and when you-
material,
and when
which
you-
is what we have
wait a
here.
minute. And when you have 500 culverts in town, not all of them are gonna be cleaned out completely. The goal is to make sure there's a place for the water to run through it. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know everything about road maintenance or that we do everything 100% correctly everywhere all the time. But you know that I don't share the same feeling about Brian's ability that you do. We're just never gonna agree on that. But the only thing we can do now, we're not gonna be able to address drainage issues right now in the middle of the winter, is that we'll set up a meeting with the select board in the spring and talk to Brian about what his plan is for cleanup for that road. I don't know what else we can do at this point.
There's a
You-
whole week
you
of
call-
work that needs to be done
Okay,
that
well-
has
Well,
not been done
that's
in
your
4
opinion.
years.
I mean, it's your opinion.
Pictures don't lie.
When you called
Yes,
about the
but-
tree being in the road, which was recently,
Yeah,
you called about the tree being in the road.
I emailed you, yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, you emailed me. I went out there, I didn't get out there till the next day because I didn't have time. The tree was out of the road, I talked to Brian about it. He didn't know I was going out to look at it, I just went out, it was cleaned up. They moved it and it was on the side of the road while they had a dump truck with a plow on it. They just got out and moved it out of the road. The goal is to make sure people can pass through the road. Then the next day they went out there and cleaned it up. So so that specific complaint,
Those
you
are for you.
complained about how lazy they were to not clean it up. They were out there making sure that people could safely pass the road because it was icy or snowy or something. And the tree was in the road. They threw it on the side of the road to get it out of the road. So, to say that we don't ever address the concerns that you have is so false that
Nothing ever becomes of it. Nothing ever comes
well, I
of
think
it.
that we've gone above and beyond with the complaints that you've had on your road and with your issues. And you and I are never going to agree on the fact that you think Brian does a horrible job. I don't think he does a horrible job.
And neither do we.
There are 3,000 people in this town, and I get very little. I get complaints, and there are some complaints that are extremely legitimate, and he fixes it. There are times where we have to, but we're not going to agree on the fact that you think he does a bad job. I don't think he does. So.
And if
When
if we felt that he was doing a bad job, we would not continue to employ him, or we would try to take appropriate steps to remedy the work that he's doing, or ask him to take appropriate
I'm
steps.
asking you because it's
Yeah.
high time. This right here is a culvert. Do you see a culvert? No. This is on the way to it. They dug out this culvert and piled all the material so that none of the water can get to that culvert, not that you can see a culvert there. And the other end hasn't been cleaned out in years, so the water has no way
Well,
to
as
go.
Cynthia said, there's really nothing we can do at this
Right.
time of year
This
about
is
it.
my,
so-
this is the biggest issue right here.
Okay.
Did Brian tell you that he completed all the road work before the roads got paved? The side work to the roads?
We didn't have a specific discussion about that. It should be done.
I scratched my head because the crew was on River Road the first week of June when we weren't gonna get pavement until we thought August. And the day before they paved, I went home and I could tell that till before Priest Drive, they had mowed. There's virtually not anything that is on that stretch of road that grows up that much. What he did not do was a mile from Priest Drive to the end of the pavement. This is what Springfield Paving paved next to. A foot of grass. Consequently, 4 months later, that is what the edge of the road looks like on both sides in places. And we are now losing the edge for lack of him going out and mowing that. And I guarantee Springfield Paving has never paved next to a foot tall grass on a road that hasn't had pavement for 24 years. So, you can tell me all you want what a great job he's doing. How much did that mile of pavement cost us? And the VOSHA violations that was buried in the back of the Commons newspaper, I haven't found a single taxpayer in this town that knows about the VOSHA violations.
Well,
we've
it's
had
been very vocal in
Lots
here.
of public meetings that had discussion about it.
I mean, if
so
the Commons
if
put it in the
people-
back of the newspaper, that's where the Commons put it.
Right,
But
the
That's not
Brattleboro Farmer doesn't report anymore,
Well, what-
apparently.
But that's not
us, Debbie. What do
that's
you
not
want?
our
I mean,
fault.
Okay, so let's talk about our road foreman firemen who cost the town $2,000 less than I exist on for disability in a year, that got reduced to $4,000, that then got reduced to $2,000, which is still 21.5% of my annual income. And now the taxpayers have to cough up $2,000 because of gross negligence, because there was stuff piled in front of an exit and piled in front of an electrical box. He's a fireman. I know better than to not pile stuff
Do
in
we-
front of an
do we-
electrical box.
What were the
That's
fines
what
were?
that's
I'd
what it
have to look,
said.
I'd have to
What the
look.
fines were, so.
Yeah.
That's what the article said, right here.
No, I'm
Those were the
not.
fines that were issued, and then they were, many of
Yes,
them
we
were
were issued
reduced. I don't
fines.
know.
One of the fines was for a chain that was, if you look at, let's say the electrical box is here, on the floor below the electrical box was a chain that was piled up. The electrical box you could actually reach, there was not like something in front of it. And you're right, that's a mistake, it shouldn't be there. That's why we were fined for it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
So the way that we are rectifying that, because we all are not trained. I'm not trained in OSHA requirements. We don't have anybody on staff that's trained in
it's
it.
common sense not to block an exit and
It-
put stuff in the way of an electrical
No.
box.
We actually, the exit, we've had our insurance company go there, should not have even been an exit door. We don't even need it as an exit door. So these things, you're right, it's unfortunate that it happened, but it's not a negligent thing, and there is now going to be some training in place to try to get somebody that keeps up with the regulations that are in place. We're gonna have somebody come in on an annual basis to review all our town buildings. I'm almost certain that if somebody comes in here, we're going to, are you gonna be here telling the board I'm negligent? I don't know what all the requirements are. That's why we're gonna learn. That's why we're gonna get some training. That's why we're gonna ask OSHA to come and give us an inspection of all of our buildings. You know, this happened before Ryan was here. We had a large fine at the town garage, we had some at the fire station, we had some at the treatment plant. That was prior to Brian being here. And I'm not making excuses for the fact that we shouldn't know. It's just we're a very limited staff, and to know everything is almost impossible. We need some help. And we're taking care of that. But I really am not, Debbie, I think it's really, to say that he is negligent in his job, and I agree with Josh, it's very, it's kind of a defamation of character
The
at this
last
point.
thing I have to say
Mhm.
is, when I wrote to you in 2015, because Brian was at the Sunoco station 3 mornings in a row at 8:15, I should have come in at that point and just said what everyone at Sunoco knows, what probably a third of this town knows, what I have seen countless times, is that there are many days when that crew does not leave the town garage until 8 o'clock or after, and they are back there before 3 o'clock. This time of year, they're out, they're busy. But
Well, they have a certain schedule of tasks that they need to complete. And as long as they are completing their tasks in a timely fashion, and I know you
if
don't
you
feel
think
they
I'm
necessarily
wrong, call
are.
in the crew and ask them
I-
how many
wrong
days they
about what?
that the crew just is sitting there having a coffee klatch.
I will. I'll go ask them tomorrow morning, and I
Yeah.
can
Bring
guarantee.
them in, because
I
think
find it, how people know that they're at the town garage. I mean, I don't even know how somebody.
Well, and
because
also-
they drive by and,
and-
they're
and-
just
and
leaving.
I've told
but
you-
what do you, they may be sharpening chainsaws, they may be putting chains on the truck, they may be changing oil, they may be drinking a cup of coffee while they do that, while they figure out the day's plan. I run my own business. Some days we get out there right away. Some days we sit and talk about what we're going to do that day, what the projects are, how it's going to work out, and we get out a little bit later. As long as the tasks are getting completed, then that's what we try to do.
I mean,
I know that you
Does
feel
that look like anything's getting done?
Well,
Because
I-
I beg to differ with you.
I know you do.
And that's only a mile and a half on the dirt.
Right.
A mile and a half of a road
Yeah.
in Putney.
Yeah. And as Cynthia said, she gets very few complaints. I mean, yes, there are complaints. I don't think I've gotten a single phone call related to Brian's work. But generally those would go to Cynthia as a starting point. we all live in this town, we all see how the roads are. You know, I haven't, as I said, I haven't personally gone and looked at these, and in the spring, we will arrange to go and see what the situation is down there. But overall, people are quite satisfied with
Robin
Brian's work.
told me a year and a half ago
This
that
is
he had
hearsay, though. I
talked to
mean, what-
Brian about the mess at Ompomet, cleaning it up,
Yeah,
and got nowhere.
well, you know,
I mean,
maybe,
and
maybe
the
that's
little bit
something we
of
can-
work that was done was so very minor in the scope of what needs to be done in order to restore proper drainage, to clean out the
Are
culverts.
you, what's your level of qualifications for making these assessments? Have you worked for a township or the state or somebody who has explained to you exactly what this should
I
be,
see.
Ms. Goldman?
I see what good work is. The town of Guilford has 9 more miles.
I'm sorry, but
than
I
the town of
have
Putney.
to stop you because we need to move on.
Yeah, and you know.
We've heard your complaints. We have the pictures. We'll take it under advisement. Once the snow is gone, we will go and look at this and see whether there are things we can do. But
And what do we do about the pavement now? Losing the edges all on that.
We'll have to go look at
mile
it. I mean, that's if you
We'll have
haven't
to see.
mentioned that to me before. I haven't. I mean, honestly, I don't know how many people travel River Road. There's not one person that complains to me about that road except for you.
I walk it. There's a big difference when you are walking by versus going 40
I know, but
miles an hour by.
our goal in road maintenance and is to make sure that they're safe, passable roads for vehicles.
It doesn't make sense.
That, wait a minute, that is the goal. This drainage issue that you're talking about that's been going on since Brian has been here, we have not had a washout other than that one big one down by your house at the culvert, which was a major rain event.
And that is
Yeah,
bad. Needs a
the other-
guardrail. It's
the other
incredibly
end
dangerous.
of River Road that you're talking about mostly, other than the pavement road, we've not had major washouts there. We've not had to close the road where it's been impassable. It's not, and I drive Pine Banks Road every day. I drive around the other roads. When you call and complain to me, I go and I drive the other roads in town, and they're of similar, you know, some are better, some are worse. There's some, you know, ruts here, there's ruts there. But by and large, we are not having major washout issues where we're spending a lot of money on repairs.
Well, the
So-
culvert beyond Applin Way went out this summer. And then I had to send you a picture of the one that I walked by for a week and a half, and then I told Brian on the 25th of August that it was plugged and the road had washed out, and he ignored me, and they stood there for an hour doing nothing. And
Yeah.
I think we've heard
I think,
enough.
yeah.
Thank you. We'll visit these spots in the spring when it's more visible, and we will take all your information into account. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Road name.
Road name. What are they looking at?
Well, they're looking at Newman Lane.
Which I don't know the history of Newman.
That's why they picked it, and I don't know it either, so I can't recite it to
And
you.
who picked it?
Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust
Oh, they did.
recommended it to
Okay.
Tom. So I'm okay with it. The only thing I was concerned with is the way that it was spelled on here was not the way that it's on the grand list.
I think it's NEU.
It is,
isn't
but a lot of the historical stuff says NEW. So if you guys are okay with the name, as long as we figure out what the proper
Proper spelling of
is.
Newman is? Right,
Yeah.
all right.
I don't wanna upset anybody, but it was Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust that requested
Proposed
that
it.
name, yes.
I'm comfortable with that name. I
Certainly.
think a spelling
Spelling check
check would be appropriate.
for the historic veracity, maybe a little bit of information would be helpful to have.
Yeah.
As to who in fact, it's not ringing, you know, it's the kind of thing, I feel like I know the answer to that quiz question, but it just hasn't rolled up in my file yet. As to who Mr. and Dr. I want to say that was
I don't know.
I
I'm sure somebody knows though.
Yeah, we'll find
Do
out.
we need to do it tonight or not?
Yeah,
I was
because they
wondering-
need to, they're having a hard time getting some stuff done because they
Okay.
don't have a physical address.
Okay, so why don't we
Yeah.
motion to approve the name Newman Lane for, this will be an access
Yeah,
road
access
coming
road.
off
Off of
of
Putney Landing.
Putney Landing Road, i.e. the
Yeah.
interstate access, and going up and into the new affordable housing complex. So moved.
So moved. Yeah.
Second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Who's my
We have
historian?
Rebecca here for, are you here for a specific reason?
No, I could form a complaint if you'd like, but I really.
No, that's okay.
Fire away.
Unless you actually have one. And
No,
then,
no,
and then
I
if
don't,
you
I
need
know,
to,
I'm
that's
good.
fine.
I'm good.
But you don't need, so you don't,
We
No, I'm just
actually,
here to observe.
we actually have had, I know you guys are not Facebook people.
we're not.
But we have, I posted something on Facebook yesterday, but we've had a lot of, the national news, I think, is driving more interest to what's going on locally.
Oh.
So it's a positive side effect
Mhm.
of
A lot of
a lot of
negativity.
things. I'm not gonna
Yep.
say. And so there was. I ended up posting on Facebook yesterday that there's been interest. Let's start attending select board meetings. Come to town meeting. These are some of the things that we're talking about. So I'm assuming that maybe that drummed up a little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, a bunch of people said they wanted to come tonight, and then they said, but I can't, whatever, so.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Oh,
keep doing that though. Just to
I
try
can't
to.
encourage that enough.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah.
More attendance is good.
Need,
And if you can't attend,
you know.
BCTV.
When is it, is there a specific time that
There,
it's?
yes,
aired?
it's.
Well,
I-
you can. It's on.
this-
You can get it online, but it's usually like a couple days after the meeting that we get.
Oh, you can get it
And then you go
online
to
too.
their. You
Oh,
can go to
okay.
their
You can
website.
you can stream it.
And that's
Yeah,
scheduled.
well, I will tell people
Yes.
that then.
Yeah.
I think it's
The voice of the cameraman. Generally, the easiest thing is to go to BCTV's website,
Okay.
and then you will have search. And the easiest is to just put in town name, and then the date of the meeting, and that should come right up, and then you can watch it. And generally, a meeting will be ready for viewing, not necessarily the next day, but usually the following day.
Okay, great.
And I don't know, but do they have like ratings for level of, is it sort of like?
How many
It's
clicks?
like
Yeah, exactly.
All
If the-
all
if
the
the
meetings
plot
now,
is good.
all the meetings now are posted to YouTube, and that was a
I
conscious
saw
choice
that, yeah.
because anyone with a low internet connection, YouTube automatically downgrades the bit rate, so
Yeah.
to speak. So there will be view numbers that
Might be. a
they may
good
not be
indicator.
accurate at the moment you watch them, but cumulative views you'll get a total.
Thank you. Okay, so town managers report.
Yeah, can we just do the sidewalk? I just want to talk about the sidewalk
Yeah.
really quickly. So we got 2 quotes back, one from Merchants Bank and one from People's United. Merchants Bank rate was 2.20 and People's was 2.55. So I'll have Merchants drop the paperwork for next time unless there's some reason why. I'm just.
And we typically just go with a lower
We
rate.
go with a lower
with
rate,
either
yeah.
one of those banks.
Which
Yeah.
it's jumped up about 0.5%.
Yeah. And it's gonna keep going that way, I
Yeah,
would
so,
have to imagine.
So that paperwork will be ready for the next meeting, but I just wanted to let you know what the rates were and which one I was going to
Sounds good.
select.
Good.
Keep going. I
Sorry,
didn't give-
but that rate, I may not have been paying attention. What exactly are we borrowing the money for?
Sidewalk, our match for the sidewalk project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so there were 2 different, there was I think a couple years ago, we voted on it at town meeting.
And we can't do much, if anything, in kind as far as work for that
Oh,
is
yeah, we do
concerned?
have some.
But we still are gonna
Yeah,
have money
mostly our
available
time.
to us if we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So that leads into the sidewalk discussion. So the construction bid requests and the resident engineer requests are due tomorrow. One's at 2 o'clock, one's at 3 o'clock. We do have quite a few in already for the engineering portion. I think I have one in for construction. There were only 3 bid sets set out to, last I checked, for construction.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get at least those 3. There may have been somebody else that asked in the meantime. I did call a couple of, construction companies and said, hey, what, one was just too busy to bid on it. The other one, I just want to make sure that they had got the notification. Everybody got notification.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was just whether they decided to bid on it or not.
Yeah.
Then RSG will help. They'll help with the bid analysis.
Okay. So we're doing bid opening, or
I'll do bid openings tomorrow. Basically, just writing down who it was, what the bid was.
Yeah.
Do they have their bond
qualifications?
Yeah, and then I'll work with RSG to come up with the engineer. We may have to do some. I don't think they'll pick the engineer with us. I think we'll have to do that.
yeah, that would probably be.
Yeah. And then I wanted to let you know that Meg Mott stopped, town moderator. She wants to come to a select board meeting, but Wednesday nights are not good for her.
Okay.
So I told her she's gonna meet with me, I think, next Monday.
Okay.
I'll run through the warning with her.
Which she's already seen the warning.
She's seen the warning. I had her look at it before.
And we didn't have, right, yeah.
I had you guys sign it.
Yeah.
And just kind of give her a heads up on, the recycling discussion, the discussion about the excavator, stuff that I know could get confusing if we start changing numbers.
Yeah.
And then let her, and make sure she's aware of the resolution that's going to come at the end.
Why don't you just let me know
Yeah,
when we're gonna have that meeting?
Yeah, I'll
and
email
maybe
you, because
I'll-
she said maybe you should stop by at the same time. That way we can all.
Yeah.
But she can't make it to a meeting before
Okay.
town meeting, so.
Yep.
I mean, if we have to, we could have a quick meeting right before town meeting too.
I mean, there's
There's not
not
anything to.
No, but it's worth sitting down and
Yeah.
having a conversation. Yeah.
So, and I did not print a budget report for that.
Okay.
I'll give you the warrants. The other thing was just letting you know that, was it Bill Gunther? Is that his name?
Yep.
When he was here, we talked about a grant to hire somebody to help us do a forestry
assessments.
management I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
what it was, but to
Yeah.
go in there and do an assessment. And so he just emailed me. I can't remember when the grant application has to be in, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm gonna be looking into applying for that grant
Okay.
for that property.
Because that's not something that the county forester can do for us or would do
Not
for us?
anymore,
Okay.
no, he's stretched way too thin.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I have, I think.
Stockpiling these things, eh?
I also am going to have a landmark intern here starting, I think, next Friday.
For a specific purpose?
Well, we have a couple things that the person can do. One of the projects I have is helping to put together all of the hazardous material, and make sure the labeling is done correctly for that OSHA violation that we had for the labeling. We have to put together some binders and make sure that it's, everything is easy to find, and so that was one of the things I thought of. The other one was those Green Mountain Power bills, how we were gonna analyze them and try to find out what, and then Jordy and I talked the other day, and the listers are looking to make a map of the town that shows what neighborhood category they're in. I guess when they put into the CAMA system to do the assessment, they assign a neighborhood to a property, and that affects the value depending on what the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they're having a hard time figuring out how.
What the boundaries are.
Yeah. So I think that might be the project that I have this person work on. They can kind of map that for the listers. So
There's one here that's got all three.
No, I don't
The
know.
others still need Steve's signature.
So that person will work with me. I think they have to do 20 hours to complete their internship.
Sounds good.
So that's coming up.
Good. All right. Anything else?
Oh, I'm gonna give this to you. It's another email from Adam Abrams about that abatement. And then tomorrow, I was invited to be on a panel at Landmark for a civic engagement class. And I forgot that I had the bid openings. It's at 3 o'clock. I didn't know if either of you was interested in being on that panel. Basically, they're gonna ask questions, the class is gonna ask questions about what your role is in town government, and I told them, I told them, Jeff, today that it was very late notice to be asking you guys, so I didn't know if anybody was available at 3 tomorrow, but
Where is it?
it's at the student center.
I can touch base with you in the morning. and
Okay.
see.
I'll send you the email.
Unless that's something you're itching to do. Yes,
send Steve
back tomorrow.
I think Steve wants to do that.
Yeah.
If not, he was totally understanding if somebody couldn't make it. I messed up and double booked myself.
Oh, well.
Maybe the middle of tomorrow afternoon also sounds like it might not be the
Yeah, it might not be great weather.
Yeah, that's true.
best possibility to get around tomorrow. But
Guess we'll find
And
out.
I'm gonna give that to you now. That's my review. I haven't had one done in a couple of years. The last one Steve took, I don't think he got it done. So I'll give you a few,
Yeah.
few months to do that, I guess.
I did the last one.
I know
think,
you
at
did.
the last minute.
You did.
Okay.
Other than
all
that,
right.
I think I'm done with my pile of stuff.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second. Aye. Cynthia, these are for your records.